let's start our play now. Over on the daughters we have the sequence of play, but there really should be a separate play aid card. Having to flip cards over that may have cubes on them or whatever is difficult enough. Now, those will only work once you're kind of familiar with the game, I think. So I'm going to have to work from the rules, and probably will for the entirety of the game. However long I last through this, which I don't think is going to be very long. I don't have much tolerance right now. So, D, the event phase. That's the first thing in the sequence. We reveal the event card. I have already looked at this. I started playing and said screw it, and didn't want to reshuffle. Okay, so the first thing we look at is north and south migrations. We get a south migration. That means we draw a card here, and it's going to replace the lowest climax. There, and now we've got harp seal pigs. Pups in play there. Okay, so, you know, the initial tableau that we spent all this effort setting up, yeah, it wasn't really there. Okay, whatever. Did we do anything else here? D2, blubber knife icon. So now we look for that. This is how we have to follow this, because yes, at some point I will get familiar enough to glance at this and recognize what these things are here. But like this, I don't know what the hell this means. Gyrfalcon yields 3 whites instead of 1 this turn. Okay, that's like a special effect. I understand that. Red, it tells me who the first player is, which I think is going to be important somewhere here. I seem to remember that was called out. Like there was a picture, but I don't see it. And I know that that's important, but unfortunately it's actually not here. It does say player order, so maybe that'll remind me. Apparently it's some other piece of the rules that says that, but I have no idea what this means. Is it like elders die on some number or whatever? I don't know. We're going to have to see. I don't think this comes up in the event phase. So, I don't know. Maybe it has something to do with the Gyrfalcons, but I don't know. Gyrfalcon, I don't know. Elder energy depletion. Snowflake icon. We do not have a snowflake. We do have this helmet, which indicates elders for some reason. Again, no clue what that's about. But I looked through this, and this does not apply. Oh, here we go. Elder die-off. Yeah, it is one. We keep looking down. Neither of these affect elder die-off. And here's where the icons maybe kind of help. And maybe this is why the rules are designed the way they are, is to link into the cards icons a little better. But again, I feel like this is more of a player aid sheet thing than a rules thing. You know, you don't put every single little event on the cards and embed it into the rules. You put this stuff, especially with the visual relationship, in a player aid card instead. But again, this is first edition. Maybe third edition cleans up a lot of these issues. Maybe somebody who knows how to, you know, write rolls, although I doubt that from what I've seen with things like High Frontier, has polished them up at all. Or maybe, and frankly, Eklund's rules didn't used to be anywhere near as bad as they've gotten. And then one thing that is more promising, though, is that ideas like a player aid card or something would become more possible. First of all, this tiny little box, maybe it's been replaced with something a little larger to provide for the amount of complexity the game has. Or maybe there's a fold-out player aid sheet or whatever. Things like that tend to actually happen. I've noticed like High Frontier has gotten a lot of changes to how, say, the rocket fuel consumption and everything is calculated in terms of just the graphical representation of of the system. I'm comfortable and familiar with the old system. It took some getting used to. Maybe the new one's more intuitive. I don't know. They're the same values. It's just how it's represented for the player. Okay, so we have an elder die off. Each player rolls a d6 and kills off one of his elders of this rank. Okay, so let's start here. 6, we lose a mariner. And that is really a problem because we're stuck not crossing to Greenland because of that. 5, we lose a tracker. That one is meaningless right now. And for the Norse, who I know who they are, we lose the Viking chief. Okay. And our first player is red. Red would have been able to designate someone else to be first player. They could make themselves the last player by putting it over here, just because I'm going counterclockwise or whatever. I need something to mark who the first player is. We'll use the routed TQ marker. Otherwise, I'll just leave this up here for now, and that'll be a reminder. Hunter assignment phase. Well, I'm not allowed to change who the first player is. I don't know that I remember that I'd have that capability. Again, such an overload of information coming. But I have to do something else. Well, where can I put my cubes? See, here's the problem. It doesn't right away kind of tell you that. It sort of does. So the worker placement element is right here. I would like to hunt. That seems like a good mechanism. Where am I? My homeland is, I don't know. My homeland is down here, so I think I can place there. Okay. So what things am I allowed to do? I'm allowed to hunt biomes, and these are all my homelands, so yeah, let's look at my biomes and see what they look like. Does this matter? Yeah. Yeah, it does. But I don't remember why. Fuck. I've lost track already. So my alpha I know doesn't work here, and I don't think he works here. Shitties. I got no idea what the fuck I'm doing. Yeah, we knew that was going to be the case. Okay, well, that means it's time for a break, because maybe being away from the game will help me understand it. Because I can tell you this much, reading the rules and trying to play it hasn't. I've forgotten whatever the hell was going on before. What the fuck was my issue? Yeah, these things. So metallurgy I know is a problem. Boatses, what does that fucking mean? I don't know. Raids, I think that means that I can't use my alpha as anything special. Where will it tell me that? Well, I guess here under the alpha. Each player starts with an alpha if you choose. So yeah, the boats I think is fishing or something, because this looks like fish. I don't know what the fuck the boats are. Oh, we got this. How about that? It doesn't tell you. Awesome. Yeah, I had hopes that, and you know, there's, much as I like designer's notes and such, there's page upon page upon page of footnotes explaining information that's very, very valuable. This is not a topic that, you know, most people are terribly familiar with. And I learned a hell of a lot by reading those footnotes. But in terms of delivering a game, there's not all the information that I need to understand what the hell is going on. So something here is boats. I'm able to like hunt boats or capture boats or something. I don't know. So let's start looking. Let's see if there's a symbol for that boat. This is what it's for, right? It is maritime hunting. Okay, so I think I could put my dude on that. So I've got only, well, I've got 3 hunting capabilities. So here's the interesting thing. What is worth it and what is not? Here I can get some babies. Here I can get some babies. This one's not one of the ones that my dude can go on. Here I can get some babies. Here I can get some babies. Here I can get lots of babies, lots. Oh, and this gives me fuel too. Lots of babies, lots of fuel, but I need 3 ones to succeed with this. Now, I'm not too worried about somebody else going in here. I would manage to domesticate orcas. Yeah, that doesn't sound likely. But it also sounds really exciting. Do I have a chance of doing that? Well, I have a success here. Let's see, do any of my daughters... I can re-roll 3s in metallurgy. That's not terribly useful. I don't think I can actually get this with any reasonable level of success. Here I'd need triples to get the trophy. Now, I don't remember if trophies are the... I think trophies are the things that if you take them, you start reducing the size of your world, I think. This, on the other hand, doubles... Now, this is something else. Would get me domesticated something. Well, I don't know what. Domesticated humans with bows, I guess. I have no idea. It's like shelters. And it's about raiding the shelters or something. I guess you're stealing livestock from people who don't have them. Harp seal pup. Well, doubles gets me a victory point. Now, those victory points only count if I remain polytheistic. I think, again, you know, the victory point salad that comes out of this is really a mess. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And I would really like to domesticate orcas. My chance of that is so low, though. I've got a guaranteed 1 here because I'm not playing with the shitty rules that screw that up. I would need... Well, I think I can get the trophy as long as I'm... Oh, no, there's 4 here. Okay, so I would need quadruples to domesticate orcas. That seems pretty unlikely. 3 ones, I'm probably going to get 2. So let's look at other things. Let's hunt this because it's got a low biome. It's probably going to go away anyway. So we will put 1. We'll put 3 in there. That almost certainly will get me the babies and the fuel that I want. What's going on here? I can't spend all my fuel because I need potentially, yeah, I need fuel or an elder to collect my sheep advantage. So what about this other stuff? Succeeding in this gives me an advantage. Now, I have things that help me, like re-rolling 3s. So I got a 50-50 chance of succeeding by just putting this there. I also have blacksmith, which will allow me to play an I card. I think maybe using a black, I'm not sure. Again, it's got this icon. What does that mean? Yeah, doesn't tell me. So I don't know. Like, normally I would play an I card in some realm of the game. So I've got to find that. Let's look. Maybe a daughter will tell me. How do I get I cards? Well, rank 3, expend black to put an I card in the game. Okay, so this is nothing special. This is just what he allows you to do. So that's nothing fancy there. Tracker can re-roll 3s and 4s, but only when you're hunting sleds or whatever those are. Ants. When you're hunting ants. Giant ants. Okay. Yeah, that doesn't work. So I got a couple extra people. Do I want the Viking chief? I do. So how do I get that? Promotion to leader, I have to spend an energy in order to spend one of them. So I'll spend an energy, and this is what it takes to figure this game out as far as I'm concerned. Now the shaman is good at domesticating, What is this? I don't know what he's good for. I don't think he means anything. I don't think he's valuable. But maybe he is. I don't know. Like, where does it explain what this means? Like the chief. Do they tell me what all the elders do somewhere? I don't know. I'll have to flip through the entire rulebook to figure this out, to see. Okay, so there's elder actions, but there doesn't appear to be one related to the chief. I don't think the chief does anything, but there's this no raid here. Or maybe it's no feud. It's hard to tell what it says. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck that means. I guess we'll ignore it because that's the way that's the only way to make the game actually kind of work. But what it may mean is as long as I have that, nobody can raid me. Or it may mean as long as that's there, I can't raid anyone. Or it may mean something. Wait, you must have a rank 4 elder to make a raid. Yeah, that's different. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck that means. Does that say raid or feud? I think it says feud. And I think that's like, this is where you put your emissaries and stuff, isn't it? I don't know. Whatever. I mean, I got no fucking clue. Do I want to improve my chances of getting this? I'm not going to get babies out of it. Is there something that I would get babies out of? I could get babies out of this. What would be so valuable about succeeding in getting this? Well, metallurgy becomes easier. Is there other metallurgy I want? I don't know. What happens here? If hunt roll succeeds, I get to kill somebody off. Well, that doesn't sound like a good deal. But it's got this iron thing. Oh, I get a black if... Okay, so this is the payoff, and this is the cost. I don't really know if I want iron that bad. I don't think I want this all that badly. I'm not going to get doubles here. Does that mean this is more important? No, not particularly. Let's send someone there, I guess. All right, so I have played one player in terms of their placement, and I am fatigued and exhausted by this game already. This is the way that non-intuitive designs with poor rules force you to work. Now, did I have to work this hard for High Frontier? You know, kinda. And much as I love High Frontier, that is definitely one of the issues. There's this huge burden of trying to figure out non-intuitive design systems explained poorly in the rules. And it seemed worth it for High Frontier, and it may be worth it for this. It may require that I fight that hard for it. There were parts of High Frontier that were very, very difficult to deal with, like, what the fuck does the map represent? What's up with the fuel consumption and everything? Where honestly, it took quite a bit of time to get through that edge, and eventually you mostly understand the basics of the game. Something feels wrong when it takes that much effort to get to the basics of the game, though. And that's the same situation with this. And unlike High Frontier, I don't feel like I'm, about ready to go globally, go out into space and conquer all these planets and everything. Turns out High Frontier doesn't work out quite that way. Other games like, I don't have my games down up here. The recent Compass one give a much better feeling of that sort of inside the solar system 4X type experience, right? High Frontier doesn't really give that, but High Frontier does give something kind of funky and neat. So I'm kind of excited. Stellar Horizons, I think it's called. It does give something that I found a great deal of pleasure out of. I don't think I'm going to feel that same pleasure out of this with its no map or sort of weird abstracted board of cards or whatever. I'm also older and less willing, I was just getting back into the hobby in my mid-40s or whatever when I faced High Frontier for the first time. It's, 10 years later, 12 years later, whatever, and I'm like, Jesus, man. How many times do I have to go through this? Why does every Eklund design that's modern, like the ones he came up with in the 90s were fine, why does every one have this huge barrier to entry to it? What is the point? And, maybe if you learn the pack system, they don't. Maybe they all work the same way. In as much of a way as the Lords games kind of did. The Lords of Sierra Madre and Lords of the Renaissance had a similarity to them where, there was a little bit of a burden to figuring out how you had supply, essentially, in the game. How you traced your supply lines in the two games. That was essentially fairly different. But a lot of the feel was the same. But, stuff from those systems, the auctioning on every card and everything, that's not in here. That was a mechanism that I have to agree was getting tired, but whatever. All right. Let's take a look at the next player here, who has lost his Mariner, unfortunately. He can buy it back, which would open things up a little more. He has a bunch of people stuck over here. Now, it's not 6 or more or whatever, right? Becomes hostile if there are more than 6 cubes after negotiations. So, I can have these here. Now, I don't need a lot to get a lot, though. So, I think a Mariner would be useful to start pulling people out of here. Because look, I get a baby and all this fuel. And it's infinite. So it seems like a good place to go. Actually, the Vikings should have run over here. This isn't anywhere near as good an option, though. Assignment is permanent. What's up with that? I think I'm able to move them, but there's restrictions as to when. So yeah, I may not be able to get them out of there. Okay, so navigational reassignment. The Sunstone allows you to reassign 3 of your hunters after everyone. That is not it. Alright, I think we're going to have to take a little while to figure out how... Oh, here, New World cards. Maybe this tells me. No, it doesn't discuss the assignment as permanent piece. I want to get people out of there. I really do, because if I'm creating baby, there'll be too many there, and that may be at the wrong time. So I definitely have to get the fuck out of there, but I don't know how. She has this ability to promote. I'm looking at the women to see what they can do. She has an ability to promote hunters at 0 wood cost. I don't know what that is. Is that supposed to be fuel cost or something else? This word has not been used before, wood cost. Fuel cost was used and orange discs is used. You'd think they'd give little icons there. Also, I don't know what they mean by promote. Do they mean turn into an elder? That's the only thing, yeah, promotion to elder that I think is promotion, but I'm not sure because there's also the alpha. Now, she has jigging, ice fishing, and seal breath indicators, which allows her to re-roll 4s and to first hunt. First hunt, I think, means even if I'm bigger, I'm able to go in and roll first. And she gives me bonuses for the other thing. Now, one of these, either the Thule or the Tunet, has some kind of penalty regarding metallurgy or something, or inventions or something. Maybe it has to do with hand size. I don't remember what. I remember something vaguely, and it comes from the cards and everything, but I don't know what that means. Like, what does hand size mean here? So, Artisan, Sage, they all have a hand size increase. Okay. So that's not the issue. So, this one does not give any hand size bonus. This gives a hand size, this gives a hand size. That's a deal, which means I can only hold one card, but that still isn't what we're talking about here. I don't know. And this one has the capability of using ivory to play an eye card, whereas the others do not. So that's kind of a special ability. So I don't know. I don't remember, and I'm not going to go trying to hunt it down. I vaguely have a memory of some kind of restriction that may just be dependent upon other things. Now, where the fuck am I? I'm trying to figure out how to get these fuckers off the board, and I haven't been able to. So I'll go back to the rulebook and figure that out again some more. And this is really how I have to approach this shit. No game should be this confusing. Unfortunately, most Eklund rules, recently at least, have been. And that, like I said, that goes back even into High Frontier. I didn't feel like American Megafauna was that bad. But maybe I'm forgetting something. But I felt like that felt more like a Lord's type quality of rulebook that wasn't just, and Origins was horrible. Origins was as bad as this in terms of like just non-comprehensible. And you add to that this weird theory of like development that it's based on that, as far as I know, very few people hold to, but he's wedded to and made the design about. Now, I don't know what to say about that. With this, there are some little edge cases of stuff like that. But that thing, you're like tinkering around in the brains of like your humanoids and stuff. And I don't understand what the fuck he's trying to show with that at all. With this, I kind of get an idea of what's being represented in the game, and that helps. That helps a little bit, but it doesn't help me find the rules in this icon-heavy, poorly written design. Not far from this and referenced by it is permanent assignment, which states these cubes don't count as unassigned hunters. They don't get returned to them. If you begin this phase, you might be able to reassign one of them as an unassigned hunter. Assuming you have appropriate sleds, mariners, I don't know what you need, but I guess that means you can mariner one off here. I'm not sure what you need in terms of sleds or something to be able to reassign someone from here. That doesn't make sense to me. They're in the village anyway, and I just turned them into something else, but somehow I need either a sled or a mariner to do that, or is it just if I want to move them somewhere on the board, I need the proper capacity to move them from here to there, which doesn't seem to be what this is talking about. And then colony abandonment, you have to evacuate all your colonists to do this. The only way to partially abandon is in stage F, okay? New World turns hostile. I don't see anything about it. Let's go. Exogamy might allow it. I don't know. If you have enough unused mariners to evacuate all your colonists, you may assign them to hunt or raid in Greenland. Okay. I don't want to leave completely, but I kind of don't like the fact that I'm fucked there. Livestock or Sabine raid, that's not it. So now phase F. Well, between there's this navigational reassignment, which allows me to reassign 3 of my hunters after everyone's assigned them. This can be done regardless of mariners, and you can't do it to the New World, though, except no reassignment to New World. And I assume not the other way either. I don't know. So we go to F and we look for something that talks about leaving. Your hunters may leave during this phase. Only if all of their players, if a hunter leaves, either return them to unassigned hunters or else marry them off. So yeah, I think I can pull them out in that case. Which means I want to spend an orange and promote somebody to my mariner. It's not really what I want to do, but whatever. Okay. Nope. I want to use her and promote someone without spending that. I don't think there's a way I can lose her, but we'll see. So, what do I have left? Well, I have hunting capacity over here. Now, I've used my mariner. No. And I think I'm able to do that during the other phase. So, I don't think... I think I could use my mariner to get me somewhere else. The Vikings could have done that too. They didn't bother. I don't know why. Okay, Gyrfalcon gives a bonus this turn. Hey. What bonus? It produces 3 ivory instead of 1 this turn. Given that I am going second, this I think is a hunting. I'm going to put my dude in here. I have the hunts first, but that's only on fishies. Let's check these. There aren't any. Okay. Let's see what else. I would like some babies. But on the other hand, we got some fishing advantages here. This is a hand with no cubes in it. That seems like a good thing. Let's play for that. Babies and fuel for the seal. That seems like a good thing to go for. More fuel. Is there more fuel we can go get? Now, if I put 2 people in here, I would hunt before that and have a shot, but not much of one. None of these are giving me much of a shot of getting anything. 2 babies for 1 roll. Using my mariner, I'm allowed to deliver up to 4 hunters to 1 card. Well, I definitely want to put 1 there. Do I want to put 2 there? There's some danger. Let's go for the cod as well. Okay. I think we've placed all of those. I'm going to call that a good time for another break. We're already up to E, which is, let's find the girl. Only girls can tell me where I am. We've already made it 2/3 of the way through the hunter assignment. So, you know, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. We're almost 1/3 of the way through the turn, and this is probably one of the most complicated pieces. So, in terms of just numerical, we're almost 1/3 of the way through. I'd say we're probably close to half, but anyway, I got to figure out this next one. Okay, ran into a weird situation. I've had this happen before where it claims I have to reformat the disk. I pull everything off of it and the disk is fine after that. But if I don't clean everything up anyway, I don't know if it works. So I loaded up half this first turn. I was going to get through the whole first turn, but I'm spending so much fucking time piddling around in this that whatever. Like I said, this is more for, you know, comedy value or whatever than anything else. So I got to make my decisions on this guy. Now, what is his special abilities are? May re-roll and 4s and hunt first. Okay. Perform 1 elder action per turn without its energy cost. Now, most of them don't have an energy cost. The only ones that do, I think, are shaman. I don't think they mean without any cost, but whatever. Maybe things are different on the other side. We got the acolyte, the emissary, that has an energy cost. So, whatever. And then PP Lee has, oh, a fictitious character. Excellent. Wins auction ties. We don't have any of them. And adds a card to hand size, but only if it's domesticated animals. Okay. So, what do we got? Well, oh, one of our things must be gone, and I don't know which one because I picked up this card to look at the other side. I think it's the 5 tracker. Do I need that? Well, that allows me to re-roll 3s and 4s when hunting ants. There's ants here and ants here. Okay. But we got a problem. This one has hunt first. On the one thing has player order advantage. If I send one person in here, I get second dibs, which is kind of an issue. So let's see what we want to do. We're allowed to send 1 set of 4 somewhere else. Well, a peaceful Vinland looks pleasing. I don't think I want to send my alpha there. Seems too valuable. But let's send a couple people here because we get a fair amount of fuel. And that, why didn't the Vikings go there? Well, now, I might want to send someone here just to screw it up, but it's probably going to screw itself up. But if I send a couple of people here, and I may send more, it means I can't send anyone over here. Now, I'm not going to succeed at taming orcas, I think. I'm not sure. This is a shitty thing to look at. And the others, I would be competing. Well, this would be the only one that I could do. Okay, so tracker gives me an advantage on hunting ants. What about some of these others? See, these others are lower value, but by spreading out, it kind of became guaranteed that these are what I'm going to have available to me. So this is a success with a hand. I get an idea or something. Thule invention complex seal hunting technique. Sounds interesting. But the payoff from this is quite good. So I am going to actually pay a fire and put all my people on there. That means I need a 1 or a 2. I have a reroll on 3s and 4s against this. I have a fairly good chance of getting at least this and possibly the triples. All right, I think we did all of that. Now I got to look at the back of a female and see what's going to happen. Negotiate and attack most iron order. Okay, but not hunt. Okay. Negotiate and attack. I don't know. Nobody's on the same card, so nobody's got any real desire to do anything bad there. What else can we do? We don't have anyone in a position where we could make them marry someone. If a couple of people kept loose things, maybe that would be possible. But basically, it's usually a bribe to get someone off a card, I guess. Nobody's in a position where they can attack anyone else. Nobody attempted Sabine raids, nothing like that. Probably a mistake. Probably something someone would have wanted to do. But the New World does not turn hostile yet. The Iron Rule, if you have suffered losses, nope. Okay, so we go down to G, the hunts. The first player gets to determine which hunts they want to do first. Well, I don't know that there's any real great factor behind this. Now, I've got all my dice here, but I don't have all these big ugly dice. They're really shitty looking. I'm going to go get me some more of these little ugly dice. I know that more than one company was probably involved in my collection of these kind of dice. I don't know what the hell. I'm pretty sure Victory Games had them, which is weird because Avalon Hill provided much better dice. But I think other companies like West End or something used them too. They were kind of like a cheaper, crappier dice. Okay. Got to remember this. This still affects the Gyrfalcon or whatever. Let's just start from the top and see what happens. So, I got 5 rolls green has to make against this. And do we have any modifiers to that? No. Maybe, you know, this has gotten misaligned again. We need 1s or 2s. And we only need 1 to succeed. We have a lot of people there. Okay, so we succeeded, which means we get 2 babies. They have to go here. But we had 2 3s, which are shark bites. So 2 babies got eaten. But we get 1, 2, 3, 4 fuel. That's pretty nice. And we got no sluts. Okay. Now, there's a limitation to how much fuel you can have. So I'm only allowed to have 3 of that 4 because there's an 8-point limitation, although something has a disregards it. I don't remember where that was. I don't see it. I don't know. I will ignore that factor. Okay, so that's this one. Now, I'm going to move, I guess these will serve a purpose, this over here. Because we're going to take care of this. Well, I'm going to declare this a 1, so that succeeds. It needed 2 to get the trophy, which I don't necessarily want. So all I get for that is an ivory. Unlike other calls, unlike these guys, which have to stay there, this comes back and shows up there. Because that's what happens. So I don't really have to track this as much. Over here, I need a 1. This is a fishy. Fishies say may re-roll. I don't know what about. threes. Okay. So a 1, 2, or 3 works, and I've got a may re-roll 4s here. Well, 1, 2 works, 3 or 4 is a possible re-roll. I get a 1, that's a success. I get a baby, and that goes here this time. I get a fuel, which I'm not allowed to take, and this goes back. Well, first player is going to keep picking on other people, but because of the fuel limitation thing, but we'll just go here. What the hell? So yellow will take that as a 1, which means 2 dice are rolled, and I need a 1 or a 2, but maybe I have modifiers. I have ant hunting somewhere. I can re-roll 3s and 4s because of that. Oh boy. Okay, so I got 3 successes. 3 successes lets me take a trophy. What the hell? I rolled a 2. That's going to kill someone. But I'm going to get 2 babies and an ivory. And I take the trophy. The trophy, I believe, is played like this. Let's see. It may go into my hand. Wait. Hold on. I did not get triples. I got 3 successes. Okay. I would have needed 3 1s or 3 2s, but 3 2s would have been impossible because my big guy was there. All right. We'll go to this one. That's 1 die. Looking at fish, which means I can re-roll 3s and 4s. I get a 6, that's not successful. I just go home. Next card has nothing. This card has a hand, which means I'll be able to take the card into my hand if I get a success. I need a 1 or a 2 to succeed. I do not succeed. They come back, no cost. I don't, the sleds, if they were delivering me, deliver me back. Keep going. We'll go down here. Yellow has 2 regulars there. This is a hammer, which means I can re-roll 4s because I have the dude for that. Oh, he doesn't get that. Interesting. Wait, what? No, that's Sage. He doesn't get that either. He doesn't get any kind of bonuses. Wow, totally different. Okay. I get a 1 and a 2. That's 2 successes. That's what I needed. So I get 2 babies. I get 2 fuel, which I can take. And I think I get an iron, which are kind of hard to see. I did not roll any bad dice. I think that just sits like that. Why did I kill other people? Because I ate them, fed them to the sharks. Red is going to pass on their own. I don't know why. There was some reason that I thought that was a good idea, so we're going to jump over to this Norse shielding livestock raid. I fail. Green gets their cube back. Now we go to the red stuff. This one. So this has a hand, and I don't know what happens here because it has both eye and a thingy. I want the cold forging process. I think that gives victory points, but I don't know if that like fucks everything up. But we'll see. I failed, so I don't have to look up and try to figure out the rules. Here, Seal Pup. That's a success. Oh, I didn't look. Does he have... He could have re-rolled 4s. I didn't roll a 4. And 3s. I didn't roll a 3. Okay, 2. I get 2 babies. That's great. And that's it. I only got one success. Here I've got 3 rolls. One of them is going to be a 1. I commit it. If I get another 2 1s, I get a trophy. But otherwise, there's a lot of riches if I get a second 1. I get a second 1. Is that fish hunting do me any good? Not really. Okay, so I have succeeded, which gets me 3 more babies. And I get 2 fire, and I don't think I'm over 8. And these guys go home. I didn't roll any 3s, so I don't get eaten. I didn't get 3 of a kind, so I don't get the trophy. And that, I think, is the end of hunting. Which means we go to domesticated animals. A Ia Tableau D card. I got no idea what's meant by Ia. Pay hay costs and grain. And gain. Okay, hay costs is fuel. Okay, so who has animals? He does. He has to pay his hay cost, I guess. And now, I got problems. This is the cost. I can take an ivory or I can take a baby. I'll take an ivory. That's that valuable sheep wool. We go to the next step. I hope there's not more in there. Elder actions. Polytheist first. This is done simultaneously, but that's okay. Nobody's got cards in hands, so I think there's nothing that I can do. But maybe I'm missing something. So let's go to that space. Elder actions. Domestic action. Domestication. That's playing cards. Banishment. Okay, that could get rid of someone. I don't particularly want to. Burning witches. Can't do that. Tool making. If somebody had gotten an eye card into their hand, they could play it. Emissary. Not available. Monotheistic. Proselytizing. Monotheistic. Baptism is voluntary conversion, but you have to have no elders left. That's turn 1. And it is done. And I'm going to load this up as turn 1B. I know this one's probably pretty short, but whatever. Together they probably would have been pretty long. All right. So that's what a turn of this goes like. And it's not that bad. It's just between the rule book and assimilating all the information, it's fucking painful. I gotta say though, same thing was true with High Frontier. I don't feel like this is at the level of Origins. Origins, there was just no grasp for me on what the fuck was going on because of this weird, like, theology or whatever having to do with how the brain of the apes formed, and you know how people started thinking words and stuff like that, and I just don't get that well enough to even understand what he's talking about, and it's a kind of out there theory to begin with, so it's like, why are you making a game out of this? Well, obviously, you know, it's personal interest, and I get that. I'm a little surprised by the amount of people who kind of think it's a cool game. This one, you know, for all my grousing and everything, yeah, it feels playable and doable. It's just the hurdle of his rule book and the presentation is very painful for me. And, you know, someone else writes the rules, maybe it would have worked out a little bit easier. Like Phil Eklund era 1990 writing the rules. It would have made sense. I don't know what's happened. I think he went through that transformation with Origins. Like, I think mentally he went through something. that like changed how he writes rules. He tries to write them in a more Euro fashion, and that's fine for really, really simple games. It does not work with complex games. Complex designs require a different kind of focus. If you're writing rules for Ra or for Settlers of Catan, it's great. If you're writing, or Dominion, if you're writing rules for something that, you know, has some pretty significantly important ideas to convey that you have to understand what is going on in the game, those ideas need to be stated, right? You know, like 1830 stated up front, this is not about running your company. This is about, you know, this is about making the most money off the stocks of all the companies that are out there. That's the kind of thing that really has to be thrown out there for people to get, especially dense people like me. Phil may be a genius. Not all of us is.